I'm over here on Facebook. It is. I did it. That's okay. Okay, so now I go to live.
Yeah, I just got the notice live. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I said go live now. Awaiting live video.
Yolanda's, I hear Yolanda in the back talking that she's talking to you.
She's talking to me?
Well, she's saying hello. Yeah.
I don't hear her.
On her computer. She's watching. I would just start maybe, huh?
Yes, I can't see it on Facebook. If you're tuning in, sorry, we had technical difficulties already. Trying this. Oh, here we go. Control V. Control X. Control V. Control up. Yolanda, can you see us? Can anyone see us?
Well, this might be a short show.
Right? Well, hope everybody else open wine with us. Can you see me?
It's on your page.
It's on my page? Like vey. Oh, I think we're live.
There you go.
Okay, we're live. Well, I guess we're starting this thing. Let me figure out how I can get to the Papa Pietro Perry page too so that I can answer any questions. Well, hello, I guess if you're on with us, not that I see it yet, but welcome. I got me and Ben over here, and we are going to be drinking some Pinot because it's Pinot time.
We are.
What else are you going to do? It's Friday. So we are opening up the 2016 Leras Family Vineyards Pinot Noir and the 2016 777 Pinot Noir. And I am lucky because I have 2 bottles I get to drink myself so far because, as I've mentioned, homeschooling is done. I survived this first year, and I got Ben first week, and I got Ben over here with me too. So we are not only 6 feet apart, we are 6 miles apart because we are sheltering in place at home today. But thank you guys for joining us. I'm going to kick it over to Ben with the 16 Leras. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Kristen. Cheers.
Tell me what we're drinking.
So we're drinking the 2016 Leras Family Vineyard. It's one of our longtime vineyards that we worked with for over 20 years now. It's always a wine that represents the Russian River beautifully. So you have it in your glass, do you?
I do.
Good.
I'm assuming everyone else does too. It's drinking beautifully.
It does, and it is. And so it's a wildly concentrated wine, the 16. It's a beautiful wine, lovely color. A little on the lighter side colors, but this vintage is focused with complex and beautiful nose of red fruit and earthy notes. Right off the top, it just kind of sucks you into the glass. So you take a little time to get that nose going. As you roll it around a bit, it just opens up more and more. And I've had this open for some time, and it just is really, really a lovely wine. Delicious high notes of Rainier cherry and raspberry with a little rhubarb woven in, and some earth and mineral, which the Leras always shows beautifully, the earthy mineralness of the Leras. And of course, it has that refreshing acidity that does so well with food. This is one really nice wine for food. We have plenty of suggestions for that too.
I'm getting hi Randall, we know you're wine club members. I'm getting a lot of comments from people that they're drinking the 15, they're drinking the 17. Is there a big difference between the different vintages?
Yeah, well, of course we get the whatever Mother Nature gives us from year to year. Usually it's pretty consistent though in the Russian River. Still on the Leras?
I'm still on the Leras. You're still talking,
So,
still drinking.
We're very fortunate because the weather doesn't change much. We've had like 5 years of drought that kind of ended in 18. We had a pretty wet year in 18, so a little bit different there. But the 5 years prior to that were dry years, so long, slow growing seasons, and the fruit really very consistent from year to year, which is one of the things that we really strive for, of course, is consistency. And the weather in these cases helped us a great deal because we're very dry, warm years for our harvest. So the wines are not too much different from each other. So either the 14, 15, 16, and 17 are very, very close.
Well, I'll tell you, Marty just told me that he opened up the 15 and the 17, which as someone else told me today, I don't know if Jerry's on here, but the best way to not touch your face is have a glass of wine in each hand.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
good job, Marty.
So what did they say between the two? Did they notice differences?
Do you notice a difference, Marty, between the two? I think 15 was the last year of our drought, right?
Yes.
And 15 was a much smaller vintage. And so the 16 and 17 may be a little bit more similar than the 15 is. Plus you add the fact of the age on the wine too.
Well, the 15, I think, was the smallest harvest we had in 20 years. It was in the area. We came from 2012 as the largest vintage on record. And then by 15, it was a stingy harvest and a very, very small harvest. And we had very little fruit that year. So it was tough to make all the different bottlings that we make. So we had to kind of scramble a bit.
Love it. We got a lot of double fisters in the group. Your comments are coming up, everybody. We got a lot of them are doing double. I like it. Darian Dave, David, thank you guys. This is awesome. My sister's on here. Your daughter's on here. This is awesome. Oh, hey, cheers, everybody. Raise your glass. It's Friday. It is Friday, right?
I have to go check the markings on my wall. I've been keeping track with scores on the wall. Who knows what day it is?
Ben's been staying inside the house. So I've been just taking all the wine I can at the winery and purposely trying to do these things so I can drink more. That's what I'm doing. All right, should we go to the 16777? What do you guys think? I may have a little bit left, but I can finish it.
Yeah, I hate to pour it out.
Don't pour it out. Not now. No one's driving. What's the point?
I just poured it out down my.
Poured it out? You want to pour it out? Let's go. Oh,
okay. We're going to pick the 77716.
So the 16777, the 16 Leras family, and the 16 Pommard all won double gold at the American Fine Wine Competition. 16 Pommard we are unfortunately sold out of, and Ben told me I could not go to his library and pull out wines for us to drink. So I'm stuck with these two wines right now. But we do have a little bit left of the 16777. We have 16 Leras as well. So we were doing this little gold collection set. So you too can have these wines as well. Yes, Karen, this is Karen's favorite wine. We know that, Karen. Dan Russell, who works in the back with me, is if he brings home 777, his wife is happy. That's
well,
what
we're very happy with the 16s. We entered 3 wines, the Leras, the Pommard, and the 777. And all 3 of them won double gold, which was amazing. And then the Pommard won best of class. And then that was promoted to the challenge of best of show, which we won for red wine with the Pommard. Unfortunately, sold out, so we don't even get to drink it. But today, the 777 is a great runner-up. The 777, the story of that is it's a single clone that's grown on 3 of our vineyards that we work with, the Bucher Vineyard, the Leras Vineyard, and the Peters Vineyard. So it's a single clone that shows bright acidity. We really love the acidity in it. And it's kind of like a Russian River Valley blend, a single clone from 3 different vineyards. So it is a blend, but a high-end blend with 1 clone in the mix. So the 777 clone is pretty much red fruit, really vibrant hue. When you look at it, it's just a really pretty color in the glass. And as it opens up, the violet and floral noses and subtle hints of toast emerge. It has a sweet sour kind of fusion between raspberry, cherry, and hibiscus tea. If you get that, you know, it's a darker blue and purple fruit appear as the wine opens, and really the mouthfeel is first class lushness and a right dose of a refreshing acidity, which really goes great with food. You know, a nice pork chop would go good, or a duck breast.
And actually, Ben, I don't know if everybody knows this story, but why did you decide to make a 777 clone specifically?
Well, we started out originally in 2003 with our Pomard clone. Bruce and I, my partner Bruce and I, were tasting one night, tasting the two different clones, the two different Pomard clones, Leras and Peters, and we were tasting them separately. And just on a fluke, we mixed the two together, and it was stunningly different and much better. The two of them blended together. So in 2003, we released our first clonal bottling of Pomard, and the wine spectator liked it. I think it gave it 94 or 95 points. I don't remember, but they liked it. And so we did that for a while. And I was on a sales trip in Las Vegas and worked all day. And then late at night, I kind of to release, I played a little slot machines, and I was playing dollar slot machines. I was playing two $1 slot machines side by side, and I played for a little while, and all of a sudden the one on the one side hit for a big jackpot, and I was looking at that. The one next to it hit for, so I had 2,500 in one and 1,000 in the other, but it was all sevens. And man, it just came to me in a flash that we have like 5 vineyards that have the 777 clone. So what's that?
Keep going. Somebody wants to know 5 vineyards, but tell that after.
Yeah. So I went back to the winery and started playing with the different vineyards that we have that one clone from. And the way we make wine, we keep all our clones separate all through the spring. So it was easy. I could taste each vineyard separately, each clone separately. So in 2006, we put together our first 777 clone, and it does very well in Las Vegas as a high roller wine.
It does good at my house too.
Mine too.
I'll tell you that much. We're getting some recipes coming in. We have some butter chicken, Indian butter chicken. What was that other one that just came in? Baked stuffed halibut and lobster ravioli with pesto. Yeah, too bad you guys are too far away because that all sounds delicious.
I really like the truffle salt with that, with the chicken, with that really earthiness with either one of these wines would be beautiful.
I want to give a shout out to Randall Singer because apparently he's in Singapore right now listening.
Singapore.
I'll be honest, I know it's complete BS, but I love the fact that you said you were in Singapore. It's Randall, huh? Oh, Dan's talking to me. Randall's actually from the Big Easy. We'll say. All right, Ben, I got a couple other questions.
Oh, Randall. Hello, Randall.
Yeah, right, Randall.
Yeah.
So, what do you drink when you're not? John's asking, what are you drinking when you're not drinking your own wine?
Well, I've been drinking a lot of different. We tried some Hanley from Anderson Valley and some Alden Alley from Dan Costa's different that's a New Orleans wine for Randall. That's what's his name? Bam, the chef.
Oh, Emerald?
Emerald's wife and Dan Costa. Yeah. So I tasted that. We like some of our friends who have come up through the William Sellium group. All the guys like Vision Cellars and Woodenhead. Those are some of the wines we like to drink. Yeah.
Somebody just asked, aren't winemakers supposed to spit? Not these winemakers. Have you not met them? Wherever he is on my screen?
When I'm working, I do practice sip and spit because sometimes I have to drink through 50 barrels of wine during my tastings, as we taste through all the vintage, getting ready to.
Picks him up.
What's that?
Yolanda comes and picks you up.
She does
When you drink.
sometimes. No, I couldn't do my job if I drank. It is my intention to drink it, but while I'm working, though, it's sip and spit is what I usually do.
All right, I got another question for you. What was the last wine you pulled from your cellar?
That was last night I tried the Alden Alley. So that was what we tried last night. And that was some Campbell Ranch. They also make a little wine from our Campbell Ranch vineyard. And that's what it was. It's a little bit different style, but very nice.
Oh, and so the Alden wines that you had was the same Campbell Ranch grapes we get?
Yes.
From a different, very interesting. What year was it?
It was 17.
Oh, I like the 17 Campbell. I bet that's delicious.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have another question. How's that Peters tasting? Ooh, we don't have Peters in the glass yet, but that'll be next time.
Yeah. We'll look forward to explaining it to you when we taste on our next video.
Your daughter just asked if she could please see your wine cellar. I'm thinking that might be I think she needs some wine. And she's home. Of
course.
So I guarantee you she needs some wine. All right, I got another one. Somebody saw the pictures of you blending the other day with your mask on 6 feet away. What's about with the blending? So
as I mentioned earlier, as we get the fruit in from each vineyard, we keep separate. Not each block is kept separate. So that means each block probably grows a different clone in each block. So we keep that separate. And in spring, we taste all the barrels that come from that vineyard, or each vineyard, each clone. And some vineyards have 4 or 5 different clones grown. So we keep them separate. Then we try to put them back together to make the best representation of that vineyard we can. The parts that we don't use end up in the Russian River Valley usually. So we take and select the best parts of the vineyard to make our vineyard designates. So it's a blending opportunity for us to taste almost every barrel that we have in each vineyard.
Rick is teasing us. He opened a 13 Mukaida last week. You met Rick on the patio. He was there with Shelton. They were drinking 13 Mukaida down in Florida. That's because you guys just sheltered in place. Yes. Oh, can you tell us a little bit about each of the different vineyards? So we have 5 main single vineyards we work with. I don't know. Do you want to go into this?
Well, a little bit. So Peters Vineyard was one of our very first vineyards we worked with So I did almost 19 years as a home winemaker and had different vineyards. And once we decided to go into business, Bruce and I started knocking on doors, looking for different vineyards to work with. And one of the very first vineyards we worked with was Peters Vineyard, which turned out to be owned by Tom Mukaida, his father-in-law, which we'll explain the Mukaida a little bit later. But we started working with Randy, and Randy's vineyard is in the southern part of Sebastopol on a high ridge in what is known as the Petaluma Gap. The soils are mostly Gold Ridge soils, and the location of that particular vineyard is interesting because it has really warm days, and then in the early afternoons, the Petaluma Gap that runs the whole distance from the ocean to San Pablo Bay draws the marine influence. So we'll get fog and wind anytime after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Will cool the vineyard down. So that really is a great site for Pinot Noir. And that was one of the very first vineyards we started with in 1998. 1999 and 2000, I think it was our very first vineyard designate. Shopping around, we found Nick Leras was our second vineyard that we worked with. And Nick has a vineyard that is right off of the Russian River Road, which is kind of the central part of the Russian River. And it's in the same area as Martinelli. That vineyard is lots of different kind of soils. Each one of the blocks have different soils, alluvial and volcanic and all the schist and gravel and clay and it's very interesting. So each one of the blocks there, we grow on that vineyard 115, 667, 777, and Pomard, which we get each one of those clones. That gives us the most earthy, minerally style wine that we make from the Russian River. Of course, I'll go back to the Peters. The Peters was an apple orchard at one time, and the Chardonnay that comes from there has that real, appley style Chardonnay, which is really lovely. We'll talk about the Chardonnay another time, but those soils are well drained, and the fruit that comes from there is really beautifully cherry fruit, almost on a yearly base, cherry and pie spice from there. So going back to Leras, it's more minerally and earthy than that vineyard. The next one is Nunes Vineyard, which is the only vineyard we work with that's on the east side of 101, just past airport. It's on a flat, just a flat area, just in that in the airport area, which is it used to be a pig farm, so the soils are much richer than anything else. So when we look at those soils, they're almost black. They're so well, like you said, it was a pig farm, so it's very organic. And then the Buchner vineyard.
Lots of oak trees on that property that the roots and such add a lot to it. Oh, sorry, I'm being questioned outside of the screen. Keep going, Ben. Dan's questioning me.
So what else we got? We've got the Buchner family, which was and is a organic milk farm, dairy farm, and Buchner been used by a lot of really good wineries. Williams-Sonoma and others in our area make wine from that vineyard. I used the two clones that I received from that vineyard, the 777 and Pomard clone, in our two clonal wines. So it's a little warmer area. It's called the central throw of the Russian River. I'm not sure what the soils are there, but the fruit comes out of there. It's very high class, and like I said, it goes into our two clonal wines. Then we have Campbell Ranch.
Wait, today apparently is John Bucher's birthday.
It is, and I wish.
Joanna just said that. Yeah, it is. Happy birthday, John.
To John.
To John.
Cheers.
Good job. Nice. Thank you, Joanna.
Then we have Campbell Ranch, which is right on the coast. That vineyard is in the Fort Ross area, and it's just a few miles from the ocean, so it gets great marine influence, and very interesting vineyard. We've been working with that vineyard for about 7 or 8 years, and really learning about the coast. And eventually, I think that that will be a separate AVA called. Right now, they refer to as West of West, because it's at the end of the country. So that's really a great place to work with fruit that most people never see, that real coastal fruit. And then the last are Anderson Valley Charles family, that right in Boonville. And Anderson Valley has a totally different taste and flavors. And so I can go into each one, but we're not tasting those today. So anyway, those are our main vineyard designates. So you have another question for me?
I do. I'm actually, first of all, I want to shout out to Cindy drinking a 2010 777 nice. If anybody's met me, you guys know I absolutely adore older wines. And anytime we have events or whatnot at the winery, I am purposely raiding the cellar and opening up older wines, because when else are you going to do it? And they're phenomenal. And Ben's got some magic to him that our older vintages, holy cow, they are amazing. And
Well, the
Dan's
knock has always been that California can't make wines that last, and as we know, these wines have held up beautifully. So
You have proven them wrong. I have a question on what are some larger formats that are drinking great? I don't know if you follow us much on Facebook, but Ben and I got to sit down with one of our large format members the other day, Charlie. We were opening up some 2010 Magnums, absolutely stunning, amazing. We opened up an 06 3-liter a few years ago at our Christmas party, holiday party, and the staff was mad. We didn't have any more. We couldn't sell it, but our wines age beautiful, and the larger the format, the better they age. Get a little more homogenized in the wine. So fantastic.
well, Charlie said,
Go.
but Charlie did say that the large format really works good if you're cooking a complex dinner and it takes a little while to put it together. He opens it up and drinks the first part of that, so that the second part can be done with dinner with his wife. So Magnums work well that way.
He also clarified a Magnum was good for 2 people.
Right.
They drink half the Magnum sitting on the deck chatting. The other half they enjoy well with dinner, which I agree. I think a Magnum is maybe good for 3 people. Oh, wait. Simone just found an 07 Mukaida in Ben. Your daughter is in your San Fran cellar, and she just found an 07 Mukaida. Does she have
I
your
told her,
open it?
yeah, I told her she could drink anything she finds there. So she's
Oh,
isolated.
yes.
She's in quarantine for 2 weeks in the city. She lives in San Francisco, and the rest of the family lives up here in Windsor. And so we're since she's not going to be working for a while, we put her in quarantine at our house. So I told her, okay, it's okay, you can raid my cellar, but geez, the Mukaida.
And actually, go for it, Simone. He's far away.
She tells me now, so I can't say anything.
But Simone, we have to be 6 feet from each other. I could probably show up tomorrow with a wine opener and help you go through some of these wines. And more, I'm a company girl. I'm happy to do that. Oh, go for it, Simone. Connie and Russ said go for it. I agree. Oh, sorry, Julia, you're out. Next question, Charles. Where does the Charles come from?
Charles comes from Anderson Valley in Boonville, and we've worked with Bill since 2006, and it's really a great spot. Anderson Valley fruit is definitely different than the Russian River fruit we work with, and we brought the Charles Vineyard in because we were looking to spread out the dates that we picked. We have a lot of vineyards in Russian River, and so they were all getting ripe at the same time. So we wanted to kind of spread that out a little bit and find vineyards that weren't ripening at the same time, and that was great for about 10 years. But now the weather's changed, and all the fruit comes in always all at the same time. This last harvest, we received fruit, all of our fruit, in 3 weeks. Usually, we used to start in the 1st of September and go all the way through till the end of October. This year, for example, we started the first week in September and finished the last week of September, which is amazing.
So Elizabeth just said she's always happy when the wine shipments arrive. How important is it to wait 2 weeks for the wine to rest?
It's really important. Yeah. Well, I mean, some people, me, I have so much wine, I could take the time and wait, but it does travel. It's a little difficult.
This is where we differ, because I meet the UPS guy at the door with my glass and a wine opener, and I'm ready to go. So kind of depends.
Well, I'm blessed I have lots of wine.
You have more wine than me. So
I think so.
That's fair. So. But granted, you haven't been at the winery in a few days, so we could be even at this point. Oh, someone's enjoying the Papa Zin. Terry, you're onto Zin already. I love it. I think that's probably the third bottle at this point. I am loving that. Someone asked for a Papa quarantine party. Isn't this what this is?
It
We're
is.
trying.
That's what it is.
Oh, someone's drinking an 18 Peters right now. Nice. Oh, any special offers for a Papa Fix? Yeah, we're doing $5 shipping. $5 per 1 to 12 bottles. Just give me a call, shoot us an email, go online, $5. You can use the promo code SIPSonoma online, but it's an important time right now. We must stay at home. We cannot drive. I have teenagers, therefore I have to drink. We drink to stay sane, and Ben, your wine's amazing. So yeah, $5, we'll get you a new wine. We'll fill it up.
We had a couple of questions, some people that we answered a little earlier, right?
We do. Let me read you the question, and you can tell me the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, from Ohio. Here we go. We visited your winery throughout the years. Appreciate not only the delicious wines, but your knowledgeable tasting room staff. Oh, I'm not in the tasting room. Your style of Pinot is outstanding, and it's difficult to change a winning strategy. However, have you ever experimented with a darker and richer Pinot like other vineyards have?
Well, yes, indeed we have. In the earlier years, 2002, 2003, and 2004, I considered them in that order: hot, hotter, hottest. 2002 being hot, 2003 being hotter, and 2004 being the hottest vintage. So the wines were very ripe and the alcohols were very high, and very big, flavorful wines, but I don't think they lasted as well as they should have because it was somewhat out of balance because they were such high alcohol. So the following year, in 2005, we had a very cool growing season, and the wines that came through were very elegant and nuanced wines. And the ones from 2003, 2002 through 2004 were all over 14.5 to 14.7 and 8, which are really big and ripe wines. 2005 was under 14% alcohol. I really loved it, and it really held up beautifully. So people probably know about Pigs and Pinot, a really prestigious wine competition that's held in our area through Charlie Palmer's restaurants. And it was kind of the wine that I was looking for that was different than most of the riper wines that people were making at the time. So in 2009, we entered the 2005 Peters Vineyard, which was more of an elegant wine, like I mentioned. And it won Pigs and Pinot the first time we won with Pigs and Pinot. And it kind of proved my point that the bigger wines just didn't really hold up that well. And it kind of made us look toward bringing the alcohol down a little bit for the sake of balance and longevity. And so we've kind of spent more time really trying to pick our wines a little less ripe than we did when we originally started. And I think the wines have showed really that they can age much better and really show much better with just coming back a little bit on the alcohol. So
a couple things. Simone said the 07 Mukaida is rocking. Just so you know.
That's good to hear.
That was fantastic.
That's 13-year-old wine, or close to 13.
You're like 100. You're like what, 70 miles away. So Simone, you rock that. Enjoy. Elizabeth, is it too warm to ground ship in South Carolina, I believe? I don't know if many people know this, but we are very fortunate. Our shipping company has a sister hub in New York, and so we can ship a lot of the current vintage wines out of New York. South Carolina, I want to go as a 3-day transit versus California's a 7-day. So I like to think if you are over 80 degrees consistently, oh, I see that, Ben. If you're over 80 degrees consistently, I can do that too. Oh, look at how, 80 degrees consistently, we should go temperature control shipping. Let's see, couple questions. Is it possible, and have you ever thought about making a white Pinot?
I have. I make a
Wait, you made a white
Chardonnay.
Pinot? Oh, is that Chardonnay? That's a Chardonnay grape.
Yeah, well, Pinot Chardonnay, no?
Oh, hey, you're the winemaker.
So traditionally, that's
White
considered
Burgundy
the
Chardonnay.
two white Burgundy, red Burgundy, right? So, yeah, we make Chardonnay. We make a little bit of it. Um, we started making Chardonnay well, as home winemakers, but in 1998 through 2000, we were probably better known for our Chardonnay than we were for our Pinot. Uh, so but then in 2001, it was anything but Chardonnay, ABC. And so I just dropped making Chardonnay. And because I didn't want to fight with people, I barrel fermented new oak. I used malolactic and all the things that nobody wanted. They all wanted just green apples. So we can only make 2,000 cases of Pinot. So I just made more Pinot and no Chardonnay until we moved to our new location in 2005. I added back Chardonnays. I love the Chardonnay at Peter's Vineyard. And I make about 200 cases of that. And that's basically what we use for all our winemaker dinners. So, yeah, we make a white Pinot.
We do a lobster style dinner in
Yeah,
the summer, July 18th. Hopefully we can all get together for that. Lobster
hopefully.
Chardonnay. Yeah, hopefully. And I will tell you, it's funny when we get the Chardonnay grapes in and they go direct press, the juice that comes out of the grapes tastes like unfiltered apple juice.
Absolutely. That vineyard from up there is incredible.
Yeah, uncanny with that one. Okay, and then another question: the fires. Fires the last few years, have those changed? Has that changed anything in the winemaking process?
For us, no. We're very fortunate. We don't make Cabernet. All of our fruit came in way before the fires, so we were all tucked in. The wine was in the barrel and safe, so we had no problem with the fires. The fires were devastating, no doubt about it, and it did affect a lot of the wines that were the grapes were still hanging, but not as bad as the 2008. The 2008, the fires in the Mendocino area burnt for months and months. So that fog just kind of sat. I mean, the smoke just sat in those valleys, and it was brought into the vines. And there was some smoke taint, pretty serious smoke taint in the Anderson Valley in 2008. But we've been very fortunate. We've not had that problem with any of our Pinots.
No, we've been very lucky. All right, another question we had. Let me look at my list. Mike and Kim said, since the 2018s are on the new club release, how is that vintage looking? And what one does Ben think would be best to consider if you looked at magnums to hold for a 5 and 10-year celebration of our 18 wedding?
Well, as we mentioned, well, congratulations to the newlyweds, huh? So, well, they've been married for 2 years now, but
How long have you guys been married?
me?
You.
Yeah, 44 years. But
And
don't
notice
tell
Yolanda's
anybody.
nowhere around. Where is Yolanda?
She's watching us.
She should
So
come
great
by.
that them
Give us a quick hi.
if she's watching, she will come in. Yolanda,
Yolanda.
I don't know.
Oh,
So,
she's ignoring both of us. All right, so what are some good wines to drink?
well, any of the wines will last for sure. I mean, we've just talked about how these wines have tasted really well. 5 and 10 years is not unthinkable with our Pinots, and we've showed over and over again that the wines do really, really well at the 10-year time frame. The either one of the clonal wines will be. Oh,
Nice guy. She just said hi on Facebook. Come on over.
so the either one of the two clonal wines, the 777 and the Pomard. The Pomard definitely is one of my favorites, and that would be no problem to last long enough for their 5th and 10th anniversary, and maybe even longer. So it's hard to tell. We make wine every year, so I encourage people to drink it a little sooner. But if they were for the reasons that they mentioned, holding them, then they should have no problem with either one of those clonal wines or actually any of the vineyard destinies. They're made to last. The the tannins and how we pick with the balance of good acidity, and the judicious use of new oak with our wines. The tannins in that uh, tend to let the wines age pretty well.
We also do make some 3 liters. We make
We do.
3 to 4 3 liters, which is a double magnum, of each of the Pinot Noirs. We don't do Zin, Chard, Rosé, but we do, yeah. And they go pretty quickly. Obviously, we don't make that many, but we do have those available. I got
Getting
2 more
thirsty.
questions for you. Terry and Dave in Nashville want to know what is, which I'm curious on this question too. What would you consider your first vintage to be?
1980 was the first year that
Was the BRP wines?
it was a BRP. Well, I didn't even know I was going to be BRP wines. It was just a wine in a bottle. I made 5 gallons of Cabernet, So, I started out always wanting to. I had worked at Williams Selling. Bert Williams was a close friend of mine and worked at the newspaper, and I've knew him from the middle '60s. I worked at the newspaper with him, and we were friends and hung out. And when he started making wine in this cellar, it got me really interested. And we partied and drank a lot of his wines. And all through the '70s, when he was really perfecting his approach to Pinot Noir, we got to drink a lot of them. And then early '80s, I was just so interested in the idea of making wine at home. It got me interested. So I volunteered for about 18 years making wine volunteer for a week or so each year to make wine with Bert. I learned a great deal from one of the master Pinot godfathers of Russian River Pinot Noir. And in fact, probably California and the United States. There was, in those days, in the early '80s, nobody even knew what Pinot Noir was. It wasn't until Sideways came out that people started realizing. Although people that knew about wine, who had drank Bordeaux and Burgundies, of course, knew about it, but most Americans had no idea what Pinot Noir was. And Bert was one of the very first guys to do that. So I was very fortunate. I started making wine in 1980. I wanted to make Pinot Noir, but there was little or no Pinot Noir being grown at that time. So it was very difficult to find Pinot. So I made Cab, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, made Zinfandel, which were all great wines, but my real interest was making Pinot Noir. And so over the years, Bert would help me get some Pinot, and we found a couple of little growers that would sell to home winemakers. And I always encouraged growers to save a little bit of fruit for home winemakers, because if it wasn't for home winemakers, the wine industry probably would not exist. So during Prohibition, the home winemakers kept the grape growers in business when there was nothing else, nowhere else to sell their grapes. So I have a great love for home winemakers, which I was one for 18, 19 years before we started our business. Anyway, so I started 1980, and I made a couple of Pinots, 82 and 85 or 86, something like that. It wasn't until 88 that we really got a handle on some really good fruit from Russian River.
And what was the first official Papa Pietro Perry year?
1998. That was our first. We came on the market with 75 cases of wine. And then we doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled and kept growing. And I lived at right where I'm at right now. I lived on the vineyard for 3 months of the year doing making wine. I lived in my van, '98 through 2004, and then 2005 we were very fortunate to find Timbercrest Farms, and we moved up there in 2005.
All right, so another question. Should we decant the Pinots?
What's that?
Should we decant older vintages, younger vintages? Should we be decanting the Pinots?
I've never felt the necessity to do that. I guess you could do it to aerate it a little bit if you desired, but I drink them straight out of the bottle. I never decant them. They don't not necessarily need them.
I like to swirl the wine. I like to do my own decanting. Stephanie
The
also
wine we
asked
drank
me,
the other day though had the, it didn't throw a lot of sediment, but it did have that. The bottle was definitely coated with the sediment of the in the bottle.
2 comments. Thank you, Diane, for picking up in the van down by the river. I wanted to say it, but I'm on the clock, so I thought I could be polite. She asked if you were in the van down by the river eating government cheese.
No, I was drinking scotch and
Their van down by the river was way nicer.
yeah.
And by the way, the wine Ben was referring to, we drank the other day. We were drinking a 2010 Ellsbury Vineyard Magnum, which is a vineyard we used to work with for Pinot. And then we got crazy and opened up a 2004 Mukaida, which was
We
the
did.
original year of the Mukaida for a 750 milliliter. And let me tell you, talk about bad days at work. That was like a horrible day at work. No, absolutely fantastic. I have a question from, let's see. So Stephanie had asked, what do you feel is the best vintage year at the winery?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. We've been very fortunate. We've had like year after year. All been really. They've been awarded medals, and they've had great scores, and it's just been really consistent. I think 8 was really I would go. What wasn't so good was the 8 was a very wet year, and then a smoke taint year, and 11 was a difficult year, but. Other than that, we've been very fortunate. We've had 10 good vintages in a row, I think, so we haven't had really what I'd call.
Do you have a favorite looking back though?
Well, the 12s, I like the 12s, and the 9s were really good. And the year that I thought was a disaster, I truly thought was a disaster because everything stopped fermenting in 2004. It was such a ripe year that all the yeast died, and I had to restart. And then the Wine Spectator, all 7 wines that we made got 90 to 95 points, and I didn't know how to explain that, But like we said, we were very fortunate. We live in an area where the weather is pretty consistent, and vintages have been really terrific. I've been just a lucky winemaker because I didn't have to work too hard on a lot of those years.
Yeah, you're not
the wine just popped into the bottle, kind of.
No, you're amazing at what you do. You were saying your favorite vintages. I'm a big fan of 06. I love the 14s. I'm loving the 17s. The 18s we tasted recently. We had the staff over for the new spring club. Were amazing. My problem is I like them really old. I like them really young. I like them in the middle. I like them in my glass, I think is what
Mostly.
the conclusion of, yes. All right, so John wants to know, you have a preference on cork versus screw caps?
Never. I will quit the business if I have to go into screw caps, although I do the rosé because it's a fun wine and you drink it during the season that it's made, usually. And that makes sense. But for me, I'm like old school, definitely. I've been making wine since 1980. I have no intention of ever going to screw cap for any reason. Believe me, I think having read all the information on screw caps, they have their own problems, and so the cork industry has done a really great job on correcting that problem. And the problem that the Australians and New Zealanders had were they were buying cheap cork, and so they had a lot of problems.
Right.
They went to screw cap, and they really advocated for screw cap. We pay almost $1 a cork and buy really high-end cork and good quality cork, and we haven't had that kind of problem. So no, I'm old school, and no corks, no screw cap.
Rick just asked
That's just me, though.
No, I agree. Well, they are easier to open, though. Rick just said, with all the different publications that rate wine, which really matters? We're going to forgive the fact that Rick works for a newspaper right now. But
He works for what?
Rick works for a newspaper.
Oh, I worked for a newspaper for 37 years, for crying out loud.
So I want to answer this question. My answer is going to be, it's like a movie writer. If you like the movie writers, what they like, then subscribe to what they like. If you find a wine writer or a publication that has your palate, then go with that. So personally, Parker, to me, his like 97 and above are too fruit forward for me. I like them a little bit more earthy. So when Parker hits a 95, 96, I'm there. He throws a 97, 98 out there, not so there. But I'm learning my palate based on their palate. And so I have to find the publications that I like compared to my palate. Does that even make sense?
Sure. I mean, I think that I'm not an advocate of any of the wine magazines. It's for people that are looking for somebody to direct them to what they think that they should be drinking. I personally like to try. I advocate drinking lots of different wine. Drink wine and educate your own palate and decide what you like to drink. It's like, how many people really read any of the magazines? I'm like a newspaper guy for 37 years. I know it's circulation. None of the magazines have that big of a circulation, so they're targeted to a very finite group of people. For me, I advocate finding what you like the best. Read about wine. That's great. See what other people are recommending, but trust your own palate. That's it might be, you might get off easy. You might be easy to please and not have to spend a lot of money on wine. And others, maybe those things will disappoint them, and they'll need to spend more money. But do what you think is.
What do you like? If you like
what you like is important. Yeah.
Don't
listen to anybody else. It is what you like.
What you like.
Yeah. It's hard to bring Chuck to a dinner with a lot of people, though, if you try to impress anybody. But that's a whole different story.
You've mentioned twice now you're drinking the 08777. Thanks for rubbing it in. That must be. He did say 2088, which we haven't produced that one yet. But 2000.
Not yet.
777. I think I pulled that out of the library a while ago. That's delicious. Well done. Good job. I'm drinking the 16. Which is
so are we gonna try that?
Oh yeah. So
I mean, it's up to you.
I don't know if anybody else know, but Ben and I have a third bottle in front of us because that's how we roll, and it's a Friday. But we just got told. I'm going to censor myself. We were just given the news that our 2017. Oh, Ben's fancy now. Oh, show us the label. Our 2017.
Oh, I lost me.
Valley Pinot. We just got 92 points from the Wine Spectator, so super exciting, and it forced us both to open a bottle. Sorry, so I'm gonna finish this one.
I cheated. I've already got there.
I have my quote camera crew back here. I'm gonna pour him some too. So 2017 Russian River Valley. You may not have that in your right in front of you. I apologize. Those are a little secret. But tell me a little bit about Jan did ask the Russian River Valley. Talk to me about that versus the single vineyards and the 777.
So what we do is when we make our wines, we start with our top wines and select the best barrels from those vineyards. And try to put together the very best of the best of that vineyard. So the vineyard designates have what we would consider the best of that vineyard. We don't use every single barrel. We buy lots of fruit from each one of the vineyards. So the parts that we don't use are not lesser, but they may be in a 3 or a 2-year-old barrel instead of a new or 1-year-old barrel. So the parts that are left over, we know how big of a lot we want to make. And the parts that are left over, all the different vineyards go into the Russian River. And a lot of times our Russian River is the best wine because it has a little bit of each one of the vineyards that we work with within the Russian River. So, and it's always a go-to wine, and it's always very consistent, and the Wine Spectator's scored it almost every year in the 90s. So the 2017 Russian River, I just happened to be going to my Wine Spectator weekly email, and we were posted there 92 points for the 2017 Russian River, and it was one of the wines of the week. So we're very happy to get that score. And of course, the wine is really a pretty wine. The Russian River always reflects what we consider one of the best Pinot growing regions in the United States, the Russian River.
This is beautiful. And Nicole, good job on your hubby going down to the cellar and finding a bottle and getting it open for you today. I absolutely love that. I'm trying to laugh some of these comments that are coming through. Yeah, cheers, everybody. It's funny because I'm used to drinking the 16s right now, and this has got a little bit more acid to it. Oh, Marty, I love you. Please tell us the history behind your gold chain and shirt. And I think, Ben, he's talking to you.
Well, this is my lucky, keep myself safe, this is my lucky gold nugget from Alaska. And I usually, people that know me, they usually see the whale tail, no whale tail today.
Yeah, the whale tail.
The lucky gold charm, keep me safe, But anyway, I'm a big fan of Hawaiian shirts. I'm a retired guy, kind of after 37 years at the newspaper. I'm doing my second career, which, how fortunate am I? Very fortunate. This is, so I've decided I'll never wear another suit or tie again, ever, maybe a wedding or a funeral or so. But my daily wear is a Hawaiian shirt.
He does. All right, Stephanie, thank you for reading my comments. Stephanie wants to know what you're watching on Netflix. I'm on Ozarks and All American. What are you watching?
Lock and Key, man. I just started Lock and Key.
What's Lock and Key? I don't know.
Lock and Key. Very good. Very good. Kind of a adventure sci-fi thing. We just watched 5 years of The Expanse. 5 seasons. I think 4 seasons maybe of The Expanse. You sit around and watch 3 episodes a night. It doesn't take long to go through a season. So
clear, everybody's drinking wine because the comments are getting hysterical now. Yolanda, how many Hawaiian shirts does Ben own? Larry wants you to explain Funkin' Dirt. And Pauline wants to know if you're hoarding the grappa.
Grappa doesn't, no need of, there's no need of hoarding the grappa.
Pauline, we're not hoarding it. You can have all ours.
I'm willing to volunteer whatever. If you found a bottle, you can have it.
Marty wants
I'm
to know
not a fan.
If your wife helps
brandy
dress
and cognac and scotch.
Fashion. Hold on, Ben. Marty wants to know if your wife dresses you, or do you have unassisted fashion?
Well, it's a collective. I have to ask your opinion. Half the time I listen, to the other half is my own choice. But
Yeah,
I have over 100 Hawaiian shirts. I buy them wherever I go. I mean, so it has to be interesting, though.
When we were on an Australia-New Zealand cruise, we were in Australia. We stopped in, I don't remember where we were, and we
Melbourne, I think, or Sydney.
Shop.
No, it's Sydney.
It was in Sydney. We walked into the Tommy Bahama shop. Ben owned everything already in the shop, but I think one jacket or a sweatshirt.
I found a blue jacket. Yeah, Tommy jacket. I was looking for it.
He owned everything. Michael Mercer wants to know, what do you rate Box Frenzia?
Oh boy, he's I'll show you the picture. He's the Franzia king. He had the back of his truck filled with at least 50 boxes of Franzia. No, you're going to send him some wine, but he was joking with me about that.
You're going to like that. Let's see. I'm trying to get back to some
He's
questions.
getting desperate in Hawaii, though. He's in Maui.
He's getting desperate.
That's the only wine they have there.
Oh, Randall in Louisiana still wants a Papa Pietro Perry Hawaiian shirt.
Who does?
Randall, Louisiana. You saw Randall's
All I
tattoo.
can tell him is Tommy Bahama has a heck of a lot of them.
Oh, but he wants a Papa one.
All right. Well, we'll have to work with Tommy to see if we can
And
do
what's the
that.
latest at Papa? So right now, I mean, winemaking is winemaking. We're still going. The boys were a little bored today. I actually went to the winery today. Boys are a little bit bored. They jumped to what I asked them to do. Thank you, Ben. It was phenomenal. And that would be labeling your wine, Michael. But we are still shipping. We're really fortunate that our shipper is still in business and it is considered essential. So the tasting room is closed. We are not allowed to conduct tastings. It is shelter in place here in California. We can do
And
curbside.
we're happy for that too.
We are happy because from our understanding, San Fran right now is flattening the curve.
Yep.
Can't talk. That'd be
So
wine.
I would just say though that we're trying to keep our crew together. My winemaking team. There's my three guys and myself. My assistant winemaker and cellar guy have been with me for over 17 years, both of them, and we have a great team. We're very consistent. I think that's the important thing about how we operate. We have a really consistent team that works together all these years. So we know each other, and we're spending at least 10 feet away from each other during these difficult times. So we're keeping safe and keeping the wine safe.
And we want to thank everybody. Steve, I know you just posted something, but thank you to everybody who joined us today. This was actually a lot of fun, went way better than I think Ben, myself, and anybody anticipated. And we will do more of these. We're going to look into some Zoom virtual tastings. We're going to be rolling out some new things in the future. So stay tuned. But again, thank you guys so much for coming, giving us your questions, drinking wine with us. We super appreciate it, and cheers to
we
you guys.
appreciate your support. Thank you so much. We
appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Yes. Cheers. We're going to close for now. Thank you, guys. I don't know how to close for now.
Oh. Who is? I'm not on. I'm off. I turned mine off. How is that possible? Not even in the room. How did it go?
Oh, great. Everybody was just... See, it sounds like you're still on. See?
How is that possible?